Welcome to Downton.
Bonjour et bienvenue. Alors on a une star cet après-midi, l'équipe de Downton Abbey. On va faire un débat en anglais aussi que d'habitude, donc si vous avez besoin, prenez les écouteurs. J'ai pensé que comme hier on a vu l'épisode 1 de la saison 3, et que c'est la première fois que l'équipe créative et les producteurs de Downton Abbey sont en France, qu'on n'allait pas uniquement s'intéresser à la saison 3, à l'épisode numéro 1, mais qu'on allait s'intéresser à l'ensemble de la série, c'est-à-dire comment elle a démarré, l'historique, comment elle a été montée, produite, vendue, etc., mais depuis le début. Donc nous avons sur scène le compositeur, le production designer, deux producteurs et l'homme d'affaires. Donc ils vont se présenter un par un et après on va parler en détail de comment cette série a été inventée, comment elle a été montée. Ça remonte à 2009, il y a maintenant 3 saisons. La 4e est en tournage en ce moment, c'est pour ça que et l'auteur et le metteur en scène ne peuvent pas être ici avec nous. Donc on va commencer par se présenter. Why don't you take the mic and introduce yourself in a few words?
Hi, I'm John Lunn. I'm the composer for Downton Abbey. I've been on board since the very first episode. I shouldn't really be here today. I should be working on series 4, but obviously I've been given 2 days off. So anyway, it's very nice to be here.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Donald Woods, production designer on Downton Abbey, and once again I've been on it right from the beginning, even before the beginning, so it's been a great privilege, and it's great to be here today. Thank you.
So it's not very common in this type of talk to have a production designer, but you see on that series it's a big role, so that's why you have to explain us the whole work on that.
Hi, my name is David. I'm the COO of Carnival Films, so that means looking after business affairs, the financing and the operations of the business generally.
Hi, I'm Nigel Marchant. I was the producer on the first series of Downton. I'm a co-exec now and I'm an executive producer at Carnival.
Hi, I'm Liz Trubridge. I was producing from the beginning, and this year I'm executive producing the series.
Thank you. So before we go into how that series started, David, tell us a little bit about your company. What is Carnival? What does it do?
So, Carnival's the UK's oldest, or certainly one of the oldest independent production companies. It was created in 1978, if I'm right. Yeah. We've made about 500 hours of television. In 2008, we became a wholly owned subsidiary of NBC Universal. And
can you tell us why suddenly you became a subsidiary of NBC? Though you're based in London, they're based in the States. What happened?
Well, we were looking at, at that time in 2008, we were, I think it's fair to say, at the top of the UK's top league of drama production.
With what shows at the time were?
At the time it was shows like Hotel Babylon and Whitechapel, and what we wanted to do was there was a lot of consolidation going on in the market in the UK around that time. We really wanted to pair up with someone a bit different, someone that would be able to take us to the next level, and NBC Universal came along, and I think it's fair to say that they've done that extremely well.
Did they go to you or did you go to them?
I think they came to us. NBC, a lot of the US studios, they've got to a point now in the US market where the market is almost saturated. It's very difficult for them to gain market position in the US, and I think it's fair to say that pretty much all of them are now looking to move out and look at international, because that is where the growth is, not only in the UK, I should add, but in France, Germany, Australia, etc. And I've got to, without NBC Universal, it wouldn't have been possible to make Downton Abbey, taking it to where it is now. Obviously, there's the editorial, that without them it wouldn't have been possible. So it's been a fantastic partnership.
So, not being indiscreet, but what kind of global deal you have with them? You're 100% subsidiary to them, you need to provide them and show them everything you do. Can you produce with another financer or something like that?
It's funny, I mean, a lot of people think, and I suppose it's a fair assumption to think that Carnival has to work with NBC Universal. We don't actually have to work with NBC Universal. We are very opportunistic, so if Universal is the best distributor, then we go with Universal. If there's another distributor that's right for the product, we do so. And Universal is very opportunistic itself. I mean, on the theatrical side, as I'm sure you know, it's very common for them for all the studios to split up rights between North America and international. You can have Studio Canaval and you can, on the one hand, and you can have Universal on the other, or Fox, or whatever it may be. And in fact, Downton Abbey is co-produced with our partners, PBS in the US, and they distribute in North America. So we don't have to work with Universal, but Universal is a natural partner for us because we know them so well, they know us, they understand what it is that we're about, they see our projects from development, and we work very, very closely with them, so there's a natural partnership.
Obviously, as you said, it helps you in financing the project and also selling it.
Yeah.
If you're using the selling machine to sell the show all over the world, and it's probably a big help for you. Could you sell it so well without the help of NBC Universal? I guess not.
I think what is incredible about an operation like Universal is that the reach of a US studio in terms of distribution is pretty unparalleled. It is quite phenomenal. The sophistication that they have in distribution is incredible.
We will ask you later on a few questions about how credible it is when they sell this program, because there's obviously a big help.
Oh, it is without a doubt a huge, huge help.
And the show, as of now, you told me, is sold in 200 countries all over the world.
Indeed, yeah.
Going back to the beginning of Downton Abbey, can you please explain us how it started?
Gareth, who is our executive producer as well, works alongside David, Nigel and me, was talking about a different project actually to Julian Fellowes, who's our writer, and then said you wouldn't consider doing a television series along the lines of Gosford Park, would you? And Julian had been asked that.
That was back in 2008?
Eight. And Julian, who'd been asked that question many times before, thought that Gareth was, and Carnival were the company to do it properly, and said yes. And I was working with Julian at that time on an independent film. And so when I heard about it, I wanted to do it and met up with Gareth and then started.
And so the Julian's the writer, came up with the idea. What type of pitch did you bring along? It's true. It's pretty much in the sequel of the film, Ghost Park. It's pretty much in the same venue. It's his world, his environment. So, what did he pitch you at the beginning? What document did you have to move forward afterwards?
Were you there before me on that? I can't remember.
I think Julian was hesitant. He'd been asked before, was hesitant at first. Quite rightly thinking that Lightning Doesn't Strike Twice. He obviously enjoyed enormous success and an Oscar for Gosford Park. And I think there was a hesitation of revisiting old ground, quite rightly. But I think what television and how Gareth pitched it to Julian, and quite rightly, what television gives us is a much larger canvas to explore these characters on. And it gives an added joy to a viewer being able to return to those characters again and again and explore their journey. And I think bit by bit it put the seeds of thought into Julian's head, and very quickly he came back with a few pages that was the start of Downton. And That's what Gareth first and Julian both went to Laura Mackey at ITV as broadcaster, and to them, they then commissioned a script. It was 2008, 2009, which was a very low point in TV broadcasting at the time in terms of commissioning in the height of the recession. So the first script was then sent to Peter Fincham, and actually Peter and Laura commissioned the show to series and had great belief in the product.
And in the profile of Julian, what makes him really amazing for that project? What is his background?
Well, he was a fantastic writer, and he knows this world so well. He absolutely knows these people. When they first looked at the DNA of what this story would be, it had to be real. We had to, the first series, we strived all the time to make everything as historically correct as we could. Obviously, we have to have a bit of poetic license. It's a drama, it's not a documentary, but we wanted to bring everyone into this world and believe in these characters, believe in these situations, but explore it in a more modern fashion, that it wasn't simply a period drama per se. We wanted to get a more contemporary feel to it, a greater depth of character, depth of storylines, in how we shot it, a more contemporary feel into an American style show. It is essentially a precinct drama. We are confined to the house an awful lot of the time, and that familiarity works very well for us.
But in his profile, you say you know this world very well. I mean, was he living in this world at one point, in this rich and aristocrat in London? Was he living there? That's his origin?
Yeah. And I think a fascination with it as well.
What do you mean he lives in it, which means he's from a very aristocratic family, or what's his background?
His wife is one of the Queen's ladies in waiting, so they do.
That explains a lot. So that's why, when you said earlier that he has been written alone, the 40 episodes you have shot so far, so 4 seasons, so 10 episodes each time, plus a Christmas special at the end of the year, he's been writing alone 40 episodes, which is extremely rare. Why that shows that his chose, your choice, because he was the only one able to do that? It's very uncommon that one series you have one writer writing everything.
I think what pitched it to Gareth was, although we all grown up with a lot of period drama, you really felt with Gosford Park. He created that world, he understood you, believed in those characters, and I think that's what interests Gareth the most. There's a great whodunit in the show, but beside it in Gosford, take that away, the actual way that house worked interested him, and he could see how we could make that into a show and would interest other people. And Julian being so clever a storyteller, he could juggle all of those different storylines, all those different characters, give all of them equal weight throughout an episode. So that's what draws you in. You believe that world, you believe those characters.
And does he have some time for help? Yeah. Does he have, staff writer that would help him bring in stories?
Yeah,
he's not really alone.
He doesn't.
No.
And I think you guys are the one reading first. You're the first readers of his work, and you.
He doesn't need help because when we were going around in the recce's in the very early months before we actually started making it, between us, we covered many of the stately homes of England. And Julian had pretty much stayed in every one, or was still going there the next weekend. And so he's got a rich mind to gather his stories. So I think that's why he wanted to write it. It's his world, it was his voice, and it was quite hard. We did go and look at that, didn't we, in Series 1, bringing in writers that he would mentor. But it was very difficult to catch that phrase, because he's also an historian. So, yeah.
And I guess in the writing process, having just one writer, does it make it slower than if you had a team of 5 writers for example, or does he write really fast?
No, he's actually incredibly fast. We're blessed how he writes. I think it limits that we have a window in which we can shoot him, not just by Julian's availability in scripts, but how the availability of some of the locations. So it would be hard for us to do a bigger commission than we actually do at the moment. 11 hours is pretty much the maximum we can do to hit the deadlines, as Liz knows them too well. So that's as much as we could go, but no, we don't suffer because of it. In fact, we're blessed that we normally start every series with nearly 5 scripts at the beginning of the season, which is, again, very unusual. We're very lucky to have that. The first year, I think we had 6 out of 7 to start with.
And we also stick to a very set series cycle. So we always launch in September in the UK, always launch in January in the US. So we like to keep the same cycle. That is an optimum cycle for us.
So you want your network having the show every September or every January? We don't need a year. So what happens? This is a question we had in France. When sometime, and we know in America they have this rhythm. Every September the series starts, and often I guess the network or the production company is not 100% happy about the script. It happens, I guess. And in this case, you say, well, if I want to meet my deadlines, I'm going to have to shoot whatever is in the script. So I guess you run into that sometimes to keep that tight schedule. Every year, 10 episodes, it's a lot of writing for one guy. So, do you go sometimes, well, we need to meet our schedule, so yeah, we're going to shoot that script number 7, which is not 100% perfect, because we need to meet our deadlines.
No, we don't, because we're very lucky that when Julian delivers a first draft, it's like most people's 3rd or 4th. That isn't to say that inevitably across 40 episodes, some are not as strong as others. But we never shoot less than a 3rd draft from him, even if we get the script really late. He's very good at turning things around very quickly. We start shooting the Christmas episode frankly, next week, she says. But we're going back with one more round of notes, because the first scenes we're doing are not relevant to the notes we're giving. So he's got a week to turn that around, so we have time.
So when you had these first pages, who were the person you had to convince to the show, NBC and your English network?
We first took it to ITV, to Laura Mackey, as a kind of Bible, and they commissioned it to script.
Was it an easy sell to propose a show that's happening in the 1900s about the rich family with a servant in the background, in the underground, that apparently doesn't relate to modern society and people today? So was it an easy sell or a hard sell?
Well, I think what was interesting about the sell, I think in many ways it's an easy sell because of Julian's success for Foster Park. So as soon as any of us heard of the show, as soon as Gareth told me that, you thought, oh, that's going to work. You had faith in the product. I think what was interesting is taking it to ITV, which probably doesn't feel within the UK the first person you would take it to. It feels it's a period drama, it would be the BBC. And I think how Gareth, as well as being the executive producer, is the managing director of Carnival, he very deliberately took it to ITV because we wanted it to be a bit different. We wanted it to be more contemporary. We wanted it to open it up to a different audience. And we were very lucky that when the first series was scheduled, we went after The X Factor, which is a hugely popular show in the UK, and a very different audience that would normally watch a 9 o'clock on Sunday period drama. And we did pick up that audience. I think all of us were amazed year one, where it appealed to such a diversity, and that there was young kids talking about it on a bus. And I think that's been part of its success, is actually embracing ITV and then being so fully behind us as partners has been brilliant.
You mean that the audience on ITV obviously is not the same one on BBC, and the fact that you brought a younger audience to a show that's supposed to be more of an older show worked really well?
I think everyone has preconceptions. So a preconception of a period drama wouldn't necessarily appeal to a younger audience. The fact that they stayed there and the storytelling was so contemporary, even though you had a period setting, they stayed and they enjoyed it. So I think it was very shrewd and very deliberate that we took it to ITV.
How did this ITV network promote it at the time?
I think once they had seen, it was quite, I think it was relatively straightforward for them to promote it once they saw the level of cast we had in it. None of us knew whether it would work or not on ITV because, as Nigel says, at that time it was really BBC dominated, and ITV had not done a big scale period drama for 25 and more years, so we had no idea if there was an appetite for it. But the scripts attracted a very, very high-level cast of very well-established actors, obviously, but we were also able to bring in people straight from drama school to play some of the younger ones, so there was a lovely balance. And some of them, a couple of them had been in ITV soaps, so were already very well known in that and had their own following. And so I think for them, it was using that cast because we have such a large ensemble, they could promote it, and they used a contemporary song to do it. Somebody had cut an award-winning trailer, and it just hit. I think it was a really clever trailer that was made.
What was the reaction of your market partners when you brought that show to NBC? Because you said they helped you finance it.
The reaction was delight, and as it was for ITV actually, the numbers were, bizarrely enough, the numbers through the series were going up, whereas normally the numbers on the series tails off. So NBC were obviously absolutely delighted. And of course even more so when season 2. It's just, it has gone from strength to strength.
And in the States it's shown on PBS.
But
right?
in the States it's shown on PBS, which really is the natural home for this sort of, for a show like Downton Abbey. We've seen the numbers actually go up and up and up in America to the point that I think the last episode of season 3 beat the US networks.
Do you have any numbers in the viewers?
It was 8.2 million. I think 8.2 million saw the final episode of season 3, which beat the night against everything else. And I think the average audience was about 11.2 million.
And to give a comparison, I think when they have a hit on one of the network big series, I think that's the best time was raising up to 18 million, I think. Something like this, right? Right. So 8 million is actually big audience for PBS and for this kind of show, right?
The size of PBS, absolutely. It's the biggest show they've ever had in their 40-year history.
So we'll go to production afterwards. I want to turn to you and production designer, big job. Just tell us what award you got recently, because this is very surprising. So the production designer on this series, big job. You'll tell us afterwards where you shoot, how you found the house and all this stuff, but what award did you get recently?
I got an award in Sweden, and it was nothing to do with television at all. It was the best new antique award, really. It was from the antiques industry of Sweden, who have found that the effect of Downton Abbey in Sweden, I don't know if in other countries it's the same, is it's boosted and reinvigorated the sale of antiques. So they gave me an award for it. I'm happy to have anything, but no, thank you very much.
So which means that
it was called the Best Innovative Antique Award.
so they traveled you from England to Sweden.
I couldn't go because we were filming at the time. So
There you go. But you received a beautiful award.
I will.
You will,
It's
okay.
in post. But, so it just, I guess it just shows how the show has spread out from just our industry we're here today, but to across the world. It's
That's very interesting. So you got to work on this series at what stage? When the script were done or a little bit afterwards?
no, before, but I think the thing was, as Nigel said, there was a synopsis and some pages and a commitment from ITV, and I went with Nigel, Liz, and various others around the country starting to visit houses. We obviously nowadays you can look at a lot of them online. But I guess in the end we probably visited between 40 or so houses in England of the right size, sometimes with Julian, sometimes not. The first house we went to was Highclere, and after the 40th one, we ended up at Highclere, but we did due diligence and looked at many. And
is it common that a production designer is coming in so early on a show when there's just a few pages and a copy from a network? Is it common or
unheard of? But it was such a main character. It was a character. It's a character in the show. It is the show. So along with all the amazing acting, it's part of it. So we had to early, and also they needed to commit. The house needed to commit and understand the commitment they were going to get. For so
interesting. You told me that in this house that plays the characters of Downton Abbey, actually people are living in this house. They are aristocrats. They are living today. So they're actually the same people that lived in your series, but today.
Yes, a modern version of the same type of people.
And you told me that actually they rent the house to you guys because they're happy to help them maintain the house. They probably have less servant today in their house, right? And it helped them to maintain the house.
Yeah, large houses in France and everywhere, Chateau here and large houses in England are enormously expensive to keep, for upkeep, and it's helped them maintain the house, which is an ongoing project and will always be an ongoing project. I think there's something like 70 rooms in the house, so it's a big commitment for them.
So do you shoot like a whole season in 2-3 months in the place and you come back next year, or it's a different organization?
It's scheduled around their commitments. They have many commitments in their house. They have weddings, they have country fairs, they have things in the house. So it's scheduled around, and we go there for sort of a week and then come back to the stages or go to other locations. So it's usually about a week or 10 days there, then we go away, come back, rather than a huge block, which is probably a good thing.
And how much do you have to redecorate the house? Is it like what we see in their life? Is it the same house? Or do you have to redecorate, reinstall furniture and stuff?
Sometimes, about 30% of the furniture we change. They've got their own photographs of their own family-run house, so we change that and we change it. But the fabric of the house is fantastic. I mean, it's a beautiful house and it's kept well, and has a very different looking room, which is a great strength of it. Every room's not the same look to it, which I think is very important. We chose it as one of the parts of the choosing process. Is you have to choose a house that's going to give you a lot of production value from when you shoot.
Music. So you said you read the script, but you never work until you have the first cut.
No, I can't really. I mean, I can write music without picture, but it always ends up being too complicated and too. I can only really work with a picture.
Before you go into that music and that composition, tell us about what you did in the States some years ago when you went to the MIT.
I studied at Massachusetts Institute of Technology. It's very difficult to say that. But it was about 30 years ago, and I was employed to work on the Star Wars movie because they had this concept that they were going to have music from the future. And I was working a lot in those days with computers and music, and MIT was right at the forefront of that. This was about 30 years ago. But anyway, I'm not quite sure what happened, but obviously they decided not to go in that direction because they then went on to employ John Williams, and it was much more. Obviously it's a great score, but slightly disappointing that they didn't think that it could have been more futuristic, the music.
It was actually the reverse. It was like a
that's right. It was like, in fact, I mean, it was like 100 years. It was Richard Strauss, really. It was the kind of music they ended up using for it.
So we'll come back to you, but in terms of production, when you put it together, the budget is going to be bigger than a normal show. So I know you want to talk just quickly about budget, but give us an idea, a rough idea.
The budget of the show, I would say when we started, so season 1, it was just a little bit above average for a UK drama, probably less actually, I would have thought, than the BBC period drama at the time. And we've
For example, to be more specific, this morning we watched a show called Utopia, and they give us the budget, they say £900,000 for episode, but there's no period piece, there's no, not this kind of sets. So you are above that, obviously.
I'm sorry?
You are above that.
We are above that number, yeah.
Way above.
Well,
Trying to get information.
not as much as John and Donald would like, but it is. It is absolutely. I'm sorry to be so vague, but it's certainly. I'm obviously too English, but it's certainly above average for a UK drama. It's not in this. It's not absolutely not in the category of American style budgets or anything like that.
But for example,
when we began and no one knew about it, it was a very tough.
I'm gonna corner you. I'm gonna get it. We were at Selfridge, yesterday morning, and they did give us the budget. I think.
Did they give you the budget?
They did. Maybe it's fake, but they did. I think they told us it was like $3 million an episode, and it was 3 weeks shooting per episode. So was it true or not?
Per episode.
3 weeks shooting per episode, and the budget was, if I'm correct, in the range of $3 million each one. So you would be between Utopia and Selfridge.
Yeah, that would be about right. Yeah, you're getting good. Yeah, you're getting that. Absolutely.
Get you before the end of the talk.
By the end of the talk, we'll be into profits. And,
I know the music budget was smaller. Because I know I was asked to do it, in fact.
Yeah, actually you said
it would have been ridiculous.
The budget music is smaller, and you will give it if you want. But what you told me is that the budget itself is not big, but you're living on the royalties because the show is sold all over the world.
That's in the last 5 or 6 years. I do far less feature films now than I did, 10 or 12 years ago. And I make much more money out of TV drama, mainly through DVD sales and mechanic, and the fact that it's that most of these things, especially BBC things that I've done, sell all over the world. So in fact, I end up spending most of the budget on actually recording the music. Something like Downton, you can't do it in synthesized instruments. You just won't have the impact. It needs to be real, and of course, consequently, that's expensive. And I think one of the great things about Britain, as far as TV is gone, is that music's always considered to be a department. It's not like one person at home on a computer producing the music, which I'm afraid to say I think a lot of European, maybe I should say French, TV series, that sounds like it's all synthesized, and even a lot of American TV shows are like that. I've done so many interviews in America where people have gone, it's TV, but it sounds like a film. And I think that's one of the great things that we've kept going in Britain is particularly music. Music's never been seen as inferior to film.
So, do you work with an orchestra? Do you go?
Yeah. I mean, it's not the same people, every single time. We have basically a recording session for each episode. So there's no cue, no piece of music is, apart from the titles, no piece of music is ever used twice. There's no stock library of music that a music editor will come in and fit. Everything is done new, partly because the music is so choreographed around the dialogue that unless the dialogue was exactly the same, you couldn't use the same piece of music.
And when you record the music with an orchestra, do you have, we saw in the Hollywood movies, the episode on the screen and the orchestra working on it?
Oh, yeah. The screen and the dialogue are everything. I never switch the dialogue off when I'm working.
So you have the orchestra, and they are playing the film in front of them.
Most of the time, they will see the screen. It's because the series becomes so popular that it's become quite awkward. There's certain story strands that we've needed to keep secret, and so there's a few episodes we've done. Well, there's two moments in Series 3. I won't tell you because you haven't seen Series 3, where we decided not to show the musicians what was going on screen. But I could see it in the control room. And you have to be able to see it.
What is the difference for the musician to see the image or not to see the image?
Because I think it's good to keep the musicians involved in what they're playing to. You know, it's a particularly emotional scene. And I think it's good that they feel involved and they put up. Honestly, if I could show you the difference, I mean, I've done this in a few. I have a blog somewhere where I put up examples of the synthesized version of the music, and then it being performed real, and the differences, is huge. Also, the other great thing I find with working with real musicians is that you can keep the music much simpler. The music in Downton is not complicated, or it doesn't sound complicated, and I think that's one of its features, and partly because the sound of a 35-piece orchestra is itself actually a complex sound, because of the number of people that are playing it, and it's been great to get people involved in it.
How do you think your work has been evolving along those 3 and 4 seasons? I mean, do you compose on that series the same way you did for the first season, or how does it evolve?
I think we've obviously, most of the music is really about the relationships between characters, and it also works as a kind of shorthand, so that people who dip in and out of the series, the music establishes very quickly what is going on in a scene between people. Although the only one, the house, when you talked about it, there is music for the house. The house is such a big character that I do have music which is just literally about the house, and there's a feeling of like the house is sort of in the ether and it's looking over all the inhabitants of the house. So it's a bit esoteric, that's interesting.
So the writer is writing all year round. I guess he's exclusive with you, or can he write something else? So it's only on your project? No. Yes, all the project.
No, he's not exclusive.
But does he have the time to do that when he's working with you on 4 seasons? So he's also working on something somewhere else. Amazing. So how is his involvement in the whole process of that series? Are you a series on the American way, a little more like the writer has a really big input in the series, or are you more like a European way where he's writing and that's about it?
Yeah, he's an executive producer on the series, but he comes on set 2 or 3 times in the 6 months that we're shooting. So he's not hands-on set. He can't be, he's writing too much. So he'll see the cut. The way it works, we found a way of working for us that the director will do a cut, then I see it and I'll do it, then it will go to Gareth, and then finally to Julian, before it will go to the broadcasters. This happens very quickly, needless to say. So
about directors, I know the director that's working on season 4 is not here because they're actually shooting out there. So directors, tell us about that part, Is it the same one from the beginning?
I think Brian Percival did the first season, and he's probably done the most episodes. I'm trying to think how many hours. It's about 5 or 6 hours, or maybe more than that, isn't it? Yeah, it's probably about 9 hours of the show. And Brian devised a lot of the in collaboration with all of us. But we've been very fortunate. A lot of the directors we've used, we've managed to have had a nice experience on the show. They've enjoyed working on it and have come back. So they've been very loyal.
As of now, how many directors have you been using on 4 seasons? How many?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 11.
11 on 40 episodes, actually. Yeah,
Yeah.
so that's a lot. And how many shooting days are you working on?
We're up to, I think it's about 12 or 13.
30 per hour.
Which was more than when we started. We've actually expanded. The first season was much tougher. It was much tougher on budget because it was an unknown.
So all this sounds really easy and wonderful. What was what difficulties did you encounter when you worked on this whole thing? What is your worst nightmare on this series? I would like to ask each one of you, what is your worst nightmare on that series, and what is your best moment? You know, you can each one respond and think about it. You know, take your time. But what is?
I think the joy for all of us, I think, is probably each year we're trying to raise the bar, and that's. I think we're very proud of that we keep striving more, that we've managed to keep an awful lot of the crew who've been there from day one, that the actors have stayed with us, that it's a family. You know, when you work together for 26 weeks a year, it's a big part. You've got to get on well together, and it was joyous in the first year with the cast, and Liz started to talk about this, that we had some very experienced, well-known faces and some real newbies coming in as well, and they all worked brilliantly well together. I think there was a lot of kind of, they held people's hands. So they were kind of the best moments. The worst moments are when it's the unknown. As any filmmaking is not an exact science. So it's the things that come out of their field that however well organised you are, they don't always work out as you would plan.
But you don't have like one really worst moment where everything was so wrong.
No, I can't think of one. Sorry, I don't know.
Neither do you. Let's just
well,
for sure.
well, together. Well, when I was trying to write the theme music, my wife had a big birthday and we had to go off to Seville. We'd already planned it for 5 days. Liz doesn't know this. And I had a week and I'd done the first two cues, and I knew they weren't good enough. I knew they weren't right, but I had to go. So we went to Seville. And Gareth, who owns Carnival, and he's very, very good at music. I spent my entire 5 days waiting for a phone call from him to say that this wasn't right. And sure enough, I think in the third day, it arrived. So that was my worst moment. But then when I came back, I had another 2 weeks to sort it out. It was fine.
What is your worst moment? You probably had some.
Strangely,
The best one I know is the award in Sweden. That's the best one.
top of my life.
Yeah.
Unbeatable. I think Nigel summed it up. I don't think all the crew would keep returning unless it was a good show to work on. And we've all worked on shows that have gone wrong or been misconceived or not enough money or too much money. I mean, it's always a battle with the budget, of course. To keep the standards high, it's always a thing you keep going. But I think the key is, and the reason people have, the crew have come back is because it's tiring, it's a long shoot, and people get tired and a bit grumpy sometimes. But in the end, I think people enjoy being on something of such quality, and I think so. You know, that's why they return. Sometimes in life you've got to grab it and think, this is a good job and good fun. So I think that does it.
Good. Since the show is working so well in Seoul and so many countries, do you get a little more money to do it every season?
Yeah, it does go up every year. Year on year, everything goes up. Fuel goes up, so the budget does go up accordingly.
But
and also, I think we need to reinvent it. You have got one story. Julian writes all of these things, and I think to keep his mind active, he creates new worlds. So when we
But I mean, does it get bigger only because of cost of life is increasing, or because I know your partner said you like it so much, you're going to put double the budget because make it better?
You can't, year one when it's an unknown, it's much easier to sit there and cry and say you've got no money. It becomes harder when you've had the success that we've had, and quite rightly, people should be paid the rewards of that. But ultimately, whatever the success, we're made, ITV has a benchmark of how much they'll pay for us, and we're made, PBS, it's a public broadcasting service. So we still need to keep the budget on a certain level. It's not an open checkbook, obviously. So it's always a struggle.
And the budget is?
Not enough, these guys would say.
Okay. On va, après, s'il y a des questions dans la salle, n'hésitez pas à lever le doigt. We're going to talk about the actors now. We're going to talk about this. So you have amazing actors coming from the movie industry too. Mm-hmm. So you keep the same family. So tell us about the actors.
Well, as I said earlier, I mean, it was relatively easy for us to cast this because Julian's writing attracted. I mean, we were not short of people who wanted to be in it. And now, of course, it's got such a high profile that we're always being told of people who want to come and be in Downton Abbey. And we have to be, I think, very, very careful at that because we cannot, I think it would ruin it if we started writing parts for X actor. I think we only look, Julian writes the stories and then we try and cast the best person we can for it, which was why Shirley MacLaine ended up in it, because she was this wacky mother of Cora, and it was a match made in heaven, and she made the most of it.
And for example, Shirley MacLaine, was she like awfully expensive, and you had to try to afford it, or would she go and say, you know, I'll do it for the price because I love the show? There's a believe it or not here.
She was within our range. She was within our range, and I'm sure she did that because she thought it was a fun thing to do. We had limited time with her. We had 2 weeks, so she was more shocked when she arrived, and she wouldn't mind me saying this. She thought we rehearsed in the morning and filmed in the afternoon, and was appalled to think that we started at 8 o'clock and filmed till 7 o'clock. And she found that very difficult. And if I had to say my worst moment, it was when we had a packed schedule, and Shirley came to me and said, Liz, I can't do any more than 2 scenes a day, because we thought, well, okay, how do we do this? But we did.
So you had your worst moment. I have an answer.
Yeah.
My next question is your budget. In terms of production designer, you told me that 1/3 is in the house you found, and where the rest of the series shot?
1/3 in the house. Roughly a third to a half is on the set. We've got a soundstage near in West London, where we build all the below stairs and all bedrooms, in fact.
So you use the house for the outside only? No.
The outside, the dining room, the main hall, the drawing room, and the library. So
the rest is studio.
The rest is studio now. We started with bedrooms in the house, but it was easy to build them, and it's easy to build them on stage.
So it's a studio you rent like for a few months or all year round?
Nearly all year round, as Nigel will tell you, from January to almost September. So it's a big rental for the studio, and I'm very income for them, but it takes that long by the time we put it up.
And the last third is?
That's the new locations, the village of Downton, which is used as our Downton village, railway stations, other familiar ones where we go to. But it's rough. I think it's about sort of third to half, and then probably a quarter.
You obviously have a huge prop department. I mean, cars, accessories, all this stuff. I mean, you saw yesterday the cars on the street. Also, this is part of the budget, and it's a big part, I guess. Why are you laughing?
The fact that you're coming back to the budget again.
I'll get my answer before the end.
Yeah, I mean, the action vehicles are very expensive, so we limit how much we see them. And the more we go through the years, at the beginning it was much easier. Although actually a horse and carriage is more expensive than a car, so we just have to be careful how we do it. And of course a lot of it is interior, so it's not relevant. So, we watch out.
If the writer would be here, I would ask him that, but I can ask you then. Can you summarize in a very short line of pitch what was the season 1 about, the season 2, the season 3, and then the season 4?
Okay, well, when we first started this, we wanted to do, if we got past series 1, we wanted to do the story of a huge country house, stately home, and the family and servants who lived in it, pre, during and post First World War, because that was the time, I think, across Europe and certainly in the UK, where there was massive social change. And we wanted to tell that story and root it in the historical events of the time. Now that we've been lucky enough to go on beyond 3, we can play a bit more. And the great thing about that period, or actually any historical period, but where we get our stories from are things like a recession. After the war, there's great tax increases, and those families were losing their houses. So at a time of a recession, there's parallel stories happening now. Obviously the role of women, the way the establishment was breaking down a little bit, very slowly in some areas and quite quickly in others. So we've been able, as we're now in Series 4 in 1922, 22-23, and it's, the costumes change, the hair changes, and we can reflect what was going on in Europe at that time.
Why do you think, though it's a period piece, talking about a rich family, there's not so many in the audience and servants working in the basement, why do you think it was such a success? Why people relate to it?
Well, I wish I knew, because then we could recreate things all the time, but I think my guess is that having a large ensemble cast plays a very big role. Rooting it in fact so that it feels believable. And I also think that, I think so often in television now there's a lot of voices that have to have a say, and it can easily become very diluted. But we're really lucky on this show that there's just a very small core of us who have been able to work with us from the beginning, and we still control it. And I think that helps, because it means that Julian's voice still rings through. And the audience, it's aspirational. I asked a Spanish journalist why it was so huge in Spain, and she said, it's beautiful people, beautiful costumes, there's love, there's gossip, what's not to like. And I think it's just, it feels accessible, because these characters are dealing with issues we are, in a slightly different setting, obviously, but nevertheless, they're human stories.
We didn't ask a question. Your first partner, your first partner is ITV, once you do the show. How is the collaboration with them around the process? Was it easy, difficult?
Yeah, no, fantastic.
Fantastic.
Yeah,
so supportive all the way?
Absolutely. They took as we say, when the show first came out in 2009, we were in a recession, there wasn't a huge amount of commissions, and they really took a punt with the show to commission a period drama on ITV. Most period drama is taken from a source, taken from a novel, and this is completely Julian's invention. So you had nothing to refer to, or any kind of safeguard. So they took an amazing punt with us, and let us get on with the show, as quite rightly says, that they're huge collaboration with us, but actually do trust us as well, which has been a joy from the beginning.
Where do you see, or do you see the show going into the future? Like, you announced season 4, are you starting to think of the 5th one and so on?
Yeah, I think there's always been we don't want the show to outstay its welcome. And as I say, I think all of us if we can keep achieving the show going up and getting better year on year, and people still want to watch it, we'd love to still carry on. I don't think there's a master plan any of us have got an end date. Julian obviously writes everything, he's essential to the process, so it's how long he can keep inventing story for us and how long we can keep raising the bar.
And what would happen to you guys if suddenly he decided, I'm not writing anymore this show because I am through, or I got something that's better to do somewhere else? What would you do? Would you try to find someone to replace him, or would you stop?
I think it would be very hard to ever replace Julian. It's Julian's baby, his wit seeps through the show, and going back to the beginning with all of the artists, the joy with the artists was that they love good writing. English actors love good writing, and so that's why they do so much theatre and why they wanted to do the show. So everyone loves to speak his lines. There's a joy in it.
Do you do table readings with the actors and him? Do you do that or not really?
We do at the beginning, depending. We don't do it once we're starting shooting. We don't have that opportunity, but we normally have at least around about 5 scripts before we start. So then we will do 2 days reading all of the scripts.
And then Julian is in the room at that point.
Yeah, absolutely.
So he has the reaction of the actors and he can modify and rewrite if needed.
And the joy is with the show that through the years he writes for the actors. So we loved having Maggie from day one because Julian writes so well. She's a great use for him. But bit by bit, you can see Kevin, who plays Moulsey, Kevin Doyle, is brilliant. He's a very small part, and it's grown and grown through the years because he's so wonderful. And then Julian writes, he gives him those things to do.
David, you're working with the company on other projects before we end the...
Yeah, we've got, so we have Downton. We are currently producing a series called Dracula for NBC in the States and Sky in the UK. That's 10 hours, and we're shooting that over in Budapest. We have obviously Downton.
Is this like the normal Dracula or is there something more to it?
Oh. It's both, yes. We've added elements into it. So it's a retelling. He's in Victorian London with an American accent, and we've taken some liberties and created a whole new world for it. And we're doing 2 other shows, 2 films with David Hare at the moment for the BBC. We have a show, Whitechapel, that's been going for 4th year. We've just done that. So we've had a very good year, but obviously we get the pressure because Downton's the pressure in itself. We've managed to achieve this, but of course then you want to, someday it will come to an end and you've got to find the next show that follows it up.
On my part, I have no more questions, except one, but I have tried it already 5 times, so I'll start here. Je ne sais pas si dans la salle il y a des questions. Si levez le doigt, si vous voulez, peut-être des micros qui sont là, mais peut-être pas. Peut-être tout poser.
Oui, j'aurais voulu savoir si le choix de Maggie Smith et de Hugh Bonneville.
Allez-y, je vais traduire.
Oui, si les choix de Maggie Smith et de Hugh Bonneville, ce sont. Ah oui, j'ai pas de micro.
Non, je
Oui, voilà, un micro. Oui, parce que Downton Abbey, c'est surtout le succès. Il y a des acteurs absolument fantastiques. Et il faut savoir si le choix de Maggie Smith et de Hugh Bonneville, ça s'est imposé tout de suite. Ou s'il y a eu plusieurs acteurs sur ces différents rôles. Alors, est-ce que Maggie Smith, ça s'est imposé tout de suite?
Je vais traduire. The gentleman is thinking the show is really about the actors. Because they're fantastic. He was asking if the choice of Maggie Smith and Bonneville was right away the first choice or not.
Yes, it was.
C'est évident. Oui. Merci.
D'autres questions? No. Ben non, c'est bon. Well, thank you very much. It was very interesting. It was interesting. Good luck with the 5, 6, 7, 10. Thank you very much.